Okay, it's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to do this to introduce everyone to the Notion space for quite a while now. It's just a matter of sitting down, organizing my thoughts, and monkeying around. So, today I have a healthy amount of caffeine and THC in my system. So, let's check it out. So, usually when you first open Notion, you're met with some form of a page like this, whether you're on mobile or whether you are on desktop. I personally have a hard time using the mobile app because I've only ever really used the desktop. And everything is either right there in front of your face that you need, or you can alternatively make things a lot less visually stimulating. So you could go into here, change your default page, and kind of like customize things. I did, however, get the Notion AI out of our Notion space, and that's like the worst kind of like clip art meme looking motherfucker that, yeah, I'm not a fan. So, there are ways to get that out of your space. I kind of had to go through rounds of interacting with the customer support AI before I was able to actually reach somebody who could do it for me. But it is available, and I had to do it separately in both of my workspaces. So, moving on. What is Notion? I like to think of Notion as a similar way that I would use my filing system. So, folders nested in folders, different kinds of customizations and organizations per folder. And this kind of opens up that space, but instead of like files and data in the form of different formats, what we're dealing with is pages where you can do a bunch of different things in them. And so these pages kind of act as our files. And then we can nest pages within pages and then databases pulling from other databases. Now, I know this is a lot. This is a lot to hear all at once, and that's my goal for today, is to show you what all I'm talking about and kind of like the crash course guide on what Notion has to offer, especially to those listening, Paneler's Guide. So something I kind of want to start off with is our workspace. Right now, this workspace that I'm looking at is our magazine workspace. So that is our Paneler's Guide. Happy to be here. 8 of us. Hell yeah. This is what we have gone on to develop post our second issue, I believe. I don't know. Time's crazy. But now, like, I would like to show you and step on over to what I call my cathedral workspace. And that was a terminology that I pulled away from Eric Godsey's kind of like models and systems, because he was the one who actually introduced me to Notion, which I've been diehard and true pen and paper for all of my life. And this was the first time I've stepped out of that. I'm now learning how to have the balance, but let's go ahead and make it on over to my Dharma Cathedral. Okay, so here's my Dharma Cathedral. Dharma Cathedral is just my dramatic way of saying my journal. I trust... Well, I was going to say that I trust that there's nothing inherently personal on this page, and I had to change a couple things, so I think we're good now. But this will be a great place to get a view of databases and what they have to offer. And they are such a like multifaceted tool that it's hard to just give a general overview through words. So this is where I would like to show you. So there are a bunch of different ways to use databases. You can use databases in kind of like a small context to capture information or to capture ideas, threads of thought. So we see this a lot over in our Paneler's Guide workspace over here. Anyway, back over here. I have things set up a little bit more complexly in my personal station, which is why I'd like to use this as an example. When you open up my journal, you are met with visual stuff. I usually like to keep this pretty like up to date, but you know, we do our best when we can, how we can, when we can. So there are different views of this database. This database exists on its own right here. It doesn't pull from anywhere else. It doesn't feed to anywhere else. So more on that later. So I mentioned gallery view. This is where we see the photos offhand. We could move over here to table view. Table view gives things a little bit in a different perspective. Calendar view also. This is a new, well, not calendar, but feed is a new view that Notion has recently implemented. I haven't really been a fan of it a whole lot so far, but I have it there just to feel into it every once in a while, but this is usually where this lives. Here's another example of how databases could be used. So there is, this is my meditation space. This is where I come to kind of like meditate on specific things that I find conflict about or that I want to dive more deeply into. So the initial set point whenever I open this page is, I think, meditations is what it was on. Now it's on everything. With that being said, I have different layers to this database, so I can kind of like, oh, if I know that I want to go do something where I'm dealing with the polarities of different thoughts, different perspectives, different people, I can just easily go on over to this and say, yep, that's what I want. Artist stuff, yep, that's what I want. It's different kind of things. It's just a really easy catch-all. When you start to really get into it, you can organize. And this is where I do that. So this filter pulls from everything. So when I create a new database, I'm creating a version of that same thing. I'm duplicating this and then setting filters and sort by filters to further refine what I'm wanting to see in this space. I hope that makes sense. That's why I wanted to use my personal station, because I have things set up a lot more detailed here than I do in our Paneler's Guide. Dreamwork is also a space that is only exists here, only pulls here. I do like to use it as an example because when I'm keeping up to date with it, and clearly we haven't been, I use a lot of these filters to track things that show up in my dreams and as I tend to it and add things, because dreams are never just one stagnant thing. They unfold over time. So this is really cool because when I go back and start to reflect on patterns and reoccurring symbols or themes or motifs that show up in my dreams over the past like years or so, it's really easy to just be like, oh, if I wanted to go into here and see where Hannah shows up in my dream, then I could just go and search with that in mind. Now again, with these different versions, views, if you will, they're database views. With these different views of the database, I can go and see it from different angles. So when I'm more tracking it, wow, yeah, May was a good month for me, but then it was like slowly after that things start to fall off. So another little lesson there in dream work is it's this whole stretching experience. Wordsmith, similar kind of setup, just writing. Quests This is a space that I kind of like deal with experiments. And so this could be, oh, I'm trying String Joy for the first time and I would like to leave an honest review. So I'm going to track how my intuition occurs to me as I'm playing these guitar strings. This is also where it's like Spirit Quest 120, where I decide I'm not going to smoke pot for 120 days. Did that go well? No. Is it done? Pretty much at this point. So, as you may have noticed, when I hit done, it disappeared because right now the tab that we are in is current. The setup that I have here is to only show me things that are in progress. So now that that is gone, it is here. These are my other cannabis experiments. The funny thing is, the only ones that I have labeled as done are the cannabis experiments. The only one that I did not fulfill was this one, but I think I'm going to be tracking a longer. Yeah, I think it's going to be a bigger project with the cannabis thing. So that's just one example of how this looks. Another example I wanted to show is my garden. My garden is where all of my creative shit lives. And this is how I organize myself, and I don't have to think too much about it because it's all set up how I want it to. My goal is to have a template set up that you guys can build off of, can just duplicate and plug your own shit into. Will update in either the description or in the Paneler's Guide group chat as soon as that is available to you, because this is super helpful, especially when you are a multi-disciplinary artist, as which I am. So, we have a bunch of different categories, and I organized them into these call-outs. Now, with the call-outs, it took me a second to figure this out. Just a real quick, if you want this little nugget, here it is. If you want the callouts, the databases to be in the callouts like it is here, opposed to kind of how we've seen in my Dharma journal, you have to create the callout, and if you want a title heading, make that apparent before, and then drag the database into the callout. Okay. Moving on. All of these, every single thing on this page pulls from one database. So, they all have their different kind of I think all of the properties will be the same across the board, yes, because it's pulling from the same database. The database that it pulls from is the data brain. Fuck yeah. Multi-ridged. Let's go. Yeah, so this is kind of the space where I have cultivated the things that I want to track. So this is important. We'll get to it here in a second. I want to track what's priority. I want to track the status. I want to track where this is coming from, where it is going. So text, video, podcast, ideas, but this is my catch-all. This is my bucket. Some of these things hardly have fucking anything in them. Like, does emo culture? No, this is just a fucking template that I am going to delete. But they have the seed, and that's the thing, is sometimes we only need to catch the seed. So yeah, super cool. And once we get further into it, I'd like to go into templates and stuff, but that's not Crash Course 101 introduction shit. So, I don't know what the fuck is happening out there, but hopefully it's not too cumbersome on the ears. Oh, I think we're mowing. I love the universe. I see it as an opportunity to smell sensory. Anyway, yeah, the screaming plants. Okay, moving on. So yes, we went over database views. A little recap. We went over Notion. We went over what databases are, kind of what they can be. There are big databases, there are small databases. You could kind of like have things exist in the middle. And an example of that is the journaling meditation, kind of like my daily pages. That is a small database that only exists there, but it has so much content that I still consider it a big database. So it kind of falls in the middle, with the fact that it's not pulling from a different spot. We kind of went over specifics as far as like sorting, filters, the different view types that are available to you. We showed you my garden. And so I would like to go back to the Paneler's Guide and kind of take you guys with me as I do some management and admin stuff. And then kind of also update on some of the things that I've changed here. So I think I had this originally labeled as ready posts. So something that Hannah asked, not Hannah, or Hannah and Rox, our social media managers, asked for was a space in Notion to keep track of pending posts, to keep track of public posts. And so I built off the database that was already there, which was this. So this kind of has some already established properties, which are these different like categories. These are properties in Notion language. And what I did is I added the calendar view. And so that's super easy to do. All you got to do, like if I wanted to see this as, God, you could even do a chart like that. See, that's the thing is, the imagination will take you as far as it's willing to go. So the board is, we didn't touch on this, but the board is where we see like our agendas and stuff, like here. You could kind of get into the specifics when you go into this space. Again, little too in there for our today's video. So we now have a space for pending posts. This calendar is going off of, I believe, yes, okay. So whenever you go in and drop in an idea here, I'm going to delete this. Whenever you go in and drop an idea into, when you drop an idea into the pending posts, what you're going to want to think about is pending post. 1, who are you? Notion's really cool and it tells you, this is me, created, this is the day that I created it. Writing. I'm currently writing it. I don't have any ideas, but I want to get it into the space so I can start to catch those ideas. This also signifies to our editors and designers that it is not ready. When you are ready, you can submit, which I will need to update something here, and I will take you along with that. We're going to edit the property. I am going to add something to the to-do, because these are our different boards. So this is how it shows up on a board. If we wanted it to, you go into each section and add whatever it is you want to do. So this is our status filter. I want to add something, so whenever I'm finished with this post, Hannah or Rox know, okay, this is ready to be regurgitated either into the observer perspective or this is ready to be posted. So I'm also slowly moving everything over into all caps for Hannah's eyes. Okay, I would like to change the color of this because we got a lot of gray going on, so let's make it green. So whenever I'm done writing this post, I can hit submitted. Cool. So, post. Awesome. Fire. Gold. Submitted. Now Hannah and Rox know that this can be set into the social media framework and put out as a transmission to all of the Pandler Guide social platforms. God bless them for doing that fucking work. So, if you stop here and don't add anything, this is not going to show up on the calendar. So, I urge you, whenever you are making a post in this space, to add the date that you are writing it or that you are updating it. You don't have to update it, but that way it goes back to the calendar. So if we put today's date on there, and okay, we got today's date on there. We got our pending post. Perfect. So Hannah goes in there and she's like, great. Fire heart emoji. Okay, she does her magic. She's working. She's doing her thing. Perfect. Pending. Pending, it's not posted yet, but it's set to post. Published. To kind of go back through this thing, the reason why I bring this up is because if we clear it, it also clears on this calendar. You will be able to find it in the table, but this calendar has a filter set onto it where only posts that have this property filled out is going to show up. So say we're in pending post. Hannah sets it for November 25th. It's beautiful. It is the most beautiful post that the world has ever seen. It's gonna reach millions. And oh yeah, look, we updated when it's gonna be posted, and now we can see that on the calendar. And so then whenever it is posted, we can hit published, and then it's just kind of like lives there in that archive. I could set something for it to like a property for it to like be archived, so we can do that. Let's play with it. If it doesn't feel necessary, we can delete it. Archive. So Hannah posted it. It's all out there. It is the most amazing thing. The internet is on fire. Cool. And so now it's archived. At this point, that doesn't do anything. We could make a table and call it archive posts. I always turn the page icon off because it's annoying sometimes. Too visually appealing. I always open in full page because this side page and center peak bullshit annoys me. Visually overstimulating. And you know, these are just my preferences. You can also, you know, let's do this. A little bookmark. And alternatively, you can we got archived posts. Hell yeah. At this point, it just has all of them. But we want to filter. We want to filter, and we want to only show archived. So whenever this happens, we see this color here, and it says save for everyone. So this is a question of, like, whenever you're building a data space, do you want everyone who opens up this to see it as you are setting it up? If that is so, save for everyone. Everyone in the Pandler's Guide group chat will see it as this. So, well, now that I'm like looking at it, hold on. Okay. Did that work? Oh, okay. It didn't work, and this is why. Okay, so we need to go in and set a little specificity to our filter. So archive, we want it only to show the ones that are checked. Check. Save for everyone. Look at that. Woo! We're learning as we go. That's the great thing. See, I didn't know. Like, I wouldn't have had that in my list had I not just done the fucking thing. Caffeine, THC, hell yeah, let's go. So, I do want to come back in and come back to the home of the Paneler's Guide. On the sidebar over here, we have the private space and we have the team space. Team space is where we're going to find all of the base headquarters operations. Paneler's Guide Home is kind of like the home page, kind of like news feed. Things feed into other things. If you have any questions, ask me. Let me know. Agenda. Agenda's now, next, later. Done. And the cool thing with this is, in this board view, is that like I can go into here and be like into something that's already been done. I'm trying to find something that's not going to share personal stuff. So, yeah. So in each page, you know, it's again like nesting pages and pages. So me catching the fuck up, like I, you know, did that for the most part, and kind of need to go back to retune to that after this video. But whenever I'm done, I will either drag that over to done or change the status here, and it will do its magic for me. Communications, kind of touched a little bit on what's going on here. Sometimes you might need to open up a little bit to see it. We'll kind of do some maintenance around here as I go on. Calendars. Calendar pulls from the board on the home page over here. So this feeds this, and then also this. And then you have options available to you of how you want to see it. Beautiful. Add our submissions. It's kind of self-explanatory as you get in there. Responses. This is how you edit the form. And these are the responses. So, Inspiration Station. This is a new space that I just recently created. These are, and I haven't had the opportunity to talk about, but I love and would like for this to be like a garden where we could bring seeds that we love and we cherish, and people in the what is this? Oh, look at that. Handpan is already in it. Handpan already knows what's going on. Love that. Love that. Explorations. Yes. Hell yeah. So for those who aren't, you know, Handpan, this is where I want to just kind of like throw the things that inspire us, to throw the things that make us think. I want this to be a space where we can just have like that creative fire, like stoked. You know, you might not have anything to give to it for a while, but you know, perhaps Hand is over there been pulling long nights stoking the fire, and you know, we take shifts as we can, but whenever you have something to offer, like feel free to drop it in this space. Don't have to add photos. It doesn't have to be pretty. I do it just because I like the way it looks. Feel free to look at it in a different view. I always like the lines. And here's another thing with this is like the load limit. I always, because it'll load 100 of your stuff if you wanted to, which I mean, I guess in this situation, why not? It's the only thing on the page. Let's go ahead and do that over here too if it's not already. It's at 50. Cool. Okay, well, I think that's pretty much it for today. Editor Max, coming back in to remind past Max of the whole reason why we were doing this video. We were doing this video to also tend to the confusion around submissions, which tends to happen sometimes. So this could be happening for a couple different reasons. One of the reasons that we have came across in the Paneler's Guide is that operating systems on some older phones do not support adding a new post to the submit hub in the Paneler space. This has kind of been a little bit of a hassle. On the back end of things, something that I would suggest is the people who have those issues can submit through the outer submissions hub. So if what I am getting ready to go through does not work for you in any capacity and you do not see the buttons that I am talking about, we'll get there. We'll work on it. So update me. Oh, look at that. Moving over to Paneler's Guide. Let's get him full screen. Let is also while I'm here. Now. Oh. Next. Later. On our submit home, we have the submit hub. Now, some people have had issues uploading here. Say you have a new submission and you want to upload it into the space. So we go into, let's go all the way out. So you open up Notion and we're met with the homepage. Going into our base headquarters homepage. And I might try to move this into its own space if that feels necessary. Feedback from other Paneler Guide staff is requested, because this can just be more accessible over here as like the submit hub and not buried in the homepage. Moving on. Should you have a finished article and you're ready to submit it, we're going to go in here and we're going to hit new. At this point, there's no templates. I don't see a need for it now. So new article. This is just kind of if this is for issue 3, we can add issue 3 since it's not here. Staff. There I am. Status. Right now it's in the waiting room. This can just be like your idea bucket for your submissions. So if you're wanting to write and keep it in this space, so perhaps Hannah can also kind of like peek in every once in a while to get a feel for what you got cooking up there, keep it in the waiting room. If you are finished, submit. Let's kind of keep things across the board and keep that green as the other one was. We have our submitted. This is when the article is ready to go to handpan. Handpan or graphic designers will then be cooking. They be cooking good. When they cook, they serve. They finish the product and bring it to the table. If there is any instance that something needs to be edited for whatever reason, it will show up rejected. The editor or graphic designer will reach out to you and request updates or edits or sources. So, doubt that it will be needed, but should it is there as a tool. So say my article gets kicked back because it's like, Max, this is way too long. We already have so many submissions. Can you kind of like trim it down just a little bit? And that's fair. Totally down. I'm working on being concise. So my article gets kicked back with some very loving and constructive criticism. Not destructive criticism. There's a difference. Constructive criticism has love. Hannah moves it into rejected. I move it back into editing until I'm done. When I'm done, submitted, goes back through. It's a cycle. So, hopefully that clears up any confusion. Something I also kind of wanted to talk about that I didn't in the previous 30 minutes was this private space. So, something that I'm working on is you guys got to walk through my garden, and what I want to offer for Pandler's Guide readers is the greenhouse. A very controlled, a very limited space for my writings that have been featured. Other things that might not be featured on like other like public gardens like Substack or my Facebook or Instagram, whatever. This is kind of like a very controlled space of this is my writing, this is what I want people to see. And I kind of already have something in here, but I do want to go back and add some of the old Pandle playlists because there's 2 years worth of those. We have the Meditate on Your Mentors. I got 2 of those from the past Pandler issues. And so these are just going to be like really just the bones of what I have to offer that is without Hannah and Rox's and Ethan's magic. So, yeah. So at this point, it is private. You guys do not see anything here. I'm also working on this to be like a home page that's public for Pandler's Guide travelers who are curious about the story. It's going to be cryptic, but have some logs. And maybe that's how we utilize feeds. I've had a lot of resistance to it, so I don't know. We'll see. The only other thing that I did want to point out was this Notion Academy. This video is the birth of the Notion Academy. It is also the birth of what will be a curriculum. We hit some of the things here. Did not necessarily start a page, but I am going to be giving you guys templates to the garden from my personal space, and if you need anything else, just reach out. So thank you guys for walking with me through what ultimately is always just a journey of self-exploration and just discovery. So yeah, peace.